Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football. 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. This is the uh, my Super Bowl weekend ending show and whatnot, and I kind of recap all the things that happened over the since the weekend leading up to the Super Bowl. As we all saw the Super Bowl, of course, the Eagles 41-33 over the Pats, and this is also my gloating edition as well. I told you on the broadcast I did called Tom Brady. Does he want to win the NFL MVP? Is it a curse on the NFL MVP? Well, here we go. I'm gonna start. Let's start the first thing off first. First, one of the first big things that happened over the weekend that I called last year, around this time last year, or a couple of days this time last year. All right. One of my, think maybe my second or third broadcast that I may have had. I asked, was the system flawed about the Pro Football Hall of Fame and not voting in To to become a member of the Hall of Fame? After he already should have been the first ballot. They let that go by. Then they had second year, and they let that slide by, which was last year, which was completely ridiculous. And I said, and I asked was the name of the thing was the Pro Football Hall of Fame voting process flawed? And then I put in parentheses, To versus Moss 2018. Go look at it. Just check my YouTube page out. You'll see it there. And I told y'all right then and there. I told y'all. I said the only way they're going to make that right. I said, watch in 2018 they have to put To in the Hall of Fame, and they're going to do it with Moss. Just like I said, it happened. They went in. Congratulations to the brother To. Congratulations to all of them. Real strong class. To, Urlacher, Dawkins, Jerry Kramer, who should have been in there. She actually should have been in there by the 70s. I don't really never overstand that. Bobby Beathard did some great things, obviously for Redskins being up in the Redskin area. His name reigns supreme up here, and what he did and things that he did for the Chargers as well. Uh, there's an Urlacher and the great Robert Brazil, probably one of the first dominating outside linebackers in that 3-4 that Bumfield started running in Houston there in the mid 70s or so, through the 80s and whatnot. Um, I told y'all they had to put him in there because that was never really a character issue or anything like that with To. And if he was going to do that, then you was going to have to go through what To do, what Randy Moss did, and all the different things that happened with him. And I already named all that stuff. And you had Ray Lewis and the issues, and you see because Ray Lewis has become an ambassador of the game. They have literally forgot about that incident that happened way back there back in 2000 and whatnot. That whole incident there, because that's far gone. That person no longer really exists. And Ray Lewis is an ambassador of the game. He's considered one of the greatest middle linebackers of all time, greatest linebackers, football players that ever played, and all that. So they would have had to drum all that stuff up if they would have kept To out. But they should have done right and put him in the first place, and this would have never happened. But like I said, that was one thing that I'm gloating, gloating about, talking about, because I said this was going to happen. Just go check it out. Was the voting process flawed? And that was one of my earlier broadcasts, and that was like my second or third one of last year. Either right before the Super Bowl, or either right after that I did that show. Um, that the other one, other one. I knew I said on that on my broadcast does Brady really want to win the NFL MVP? Because I said it seemed like it's a curse. He won it. I said he was going to win his third MVP. I said he was going to win his third MVP. I mean I knew that. I mean if Carson Wentz would have stayed healthy, Carson Wentz would have won. I still say Todd Gurley probably could have won it if Todd Gurley would have played that last game. That just goes to show you that somebody like Brady, now they're playing for obviously home field, even though they locked everything up, but they were still planning to have home field advantage throughout the whole season. But I'm like throughout the whole playoffs. But I'm Todd Gurley. I guarantee you, any money that's Brady. These guys act like these awards. These awards mean something to them. You don't play that stuff for them. You play to win, obviously, but you want the accolades. You want to be known as an All Pros and Pro Bowler and all that other stuff that comes along with it. Most of all, champion. You want to have all these things. Gurley plays, has a good game there against the 49ers and whatnot. Maybe 150 yards, 160 yards rushing, and maybe 80, 90 yards pass receiving and gets you about 3 touchdowns. Maybe we're talking something different. But he ended up getting Offensive Player of the Year and everything. But I said that Brady was going to get his third MVP, right? I did say that. I also said that the Eagles was going to win. I told y'all that on the broadcast, on that same broadcast. I named all them things out on that same broadcast. I told you earlier, it had to be about the 2 minute mark. I told, if not earlier than that, I told you that once the game was over, I said, I'm picking Philly. You heard it here first. I told you that, right? I told you all that. Not only that though, and here's the other clincher and stuff like that that went on down that ended up happening. You know, it's funny because when you look at the thing again, I said, was it a curse? What do we have here? Like I told you, the last time an NFL quarterback that was the MVP of the league a won the NFL MVP and the Super Bowl championship was in 1999. Last time. That was Kurt Warner with the greatest show on turf. Last time. Last time running back, Terrell Davis, Denver Broncos. Last time. Guys is winning the NFL MVP. That's not necessarily mean you're going to win an NFL Super Bowl. Brady has won it 3 times now. And all 3 times, he's the first time that he won it, they lost the Super Bowl to the Giants, 17-14. The next time that he won it in 2010, they lose in divisional round to the Jets. Third time he wins it, they did what? They lose 41-33 after he had a magnificent game. 505 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. But the one costly thing that I knew that the only way that the Eagles was going to beat them because they had to play into you got to play all 4 quarters against the Pats because that's just how they wired. They sacked and stripped the ball from Brady for the most part. Earlier part in some of the game and stuff, they was getting at Brady a little bit around him and stuff like that, but they didn't beat him up. And hell, Foles wasn't even touched. But Brady, he ended up losing the ball. That subsequently cost him the game. But it's still funny. I hear all these guys from Skip Bayless to Colin Coward, all these guys, man, Brady did this, Brady did that, Brady did this, Brady did that. If that would have been Cam Newton, they said he still lost. Look at him. He can't eat. The ball security is this, ball security is that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No. Brady, and you want to boil it right down, Brady cost them the game. Now I'm just gonna put it to you like that. You might not want to hear that. You might want to say, "Oh man, you being critical." No, no, no. When you hear all these other guys talk, no. And at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. Brady was flawless. I'm giving him that. From football standpoint, he was doing it all. As flicked as Brady looks and uncoordinated as he looked, the man at his head, using his head in this game, this man, I mean, when you play football and you dissect football, and if you look at those trailers of Tom Brady versus Tom, you see why this guy is in the upper echelon of quarterback and why he wins. This dude lives, eats, and breathes football. That's why him and that's if him and Belichick don't get along any place else, they get along when they come to that film room and on that field. They might not get along nowhere else. They get along there, and that's really all that counts. It's not that many quarterbacks and head coaches from I don't think Tom Landry and Roger Staubach got along that great. It's already documented that Chuck Noll and Terry Bradshaw did not get along, obviously. And that was evident. You ever hear Bradshaw talk about it? So a lot of them guys did not get along. Some of them guys didn't get along, you know. So that was just one of them type of things. Um, so when you get that going, so when you get that whole situation that going on, so but Brady did all that. But Brady costly from the only turnover. Both had a turnover apiece. And one Foles wasn't Foles' fault. He threw the ball. The guy had the ball, and then he tried to regain it, came out, and he batted up, and the guy made a fluke interception. Brady, strip sack. If you take a sack, got to secure the ball. So you at least try to secure the ball anyway. But either way, that basically subsequently cost him the game. Period. We could talk about all that other stuff. No need to talk about it. That's a loss on Brady's record. That goes down as a loss. I don't care. He threw for all those yards, all those touchdowns, no interceptions, at one turnover, and they lose the game. Foles 28-43, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, fluke interception, and he caught a touchdown pass. So he counted for 4 touchdowns. He counted for 4 touchdowns. You know, I don't know what else to say. The man played flawless. They kept the pedal to the metal, and they was not intimidated by the Pats. Pats aura gets teams all the time. That's that same aura that ended up getting Jacksonville. That same aura that got Atlanta last year. All you got to do is keep playing because a lot of those Pats teams are not loaded with talent. They really aren't. They really never have been. But they built a reputation up of being a bully on the block. And it's like they don't be blowing teams out and they get to these championship games and stuff like that. Those teams are always matched. They're right there with them. They let off. And the Pats ain't gonna let off. They're gonna keep getting at them. So that's what happened. So again, like I said, Brady third MVP, third time, and two Super Bowl losses, and one time that he didn't even get to the Super Bowl. He lost in the divisional round. So that's that's what happened. That situation there had the whole Malcolm Butler situation. I have no idea what happened with that. Why he wasn't in the game. That's Belichick. Belichick does those kind of things, so don't surprise me at all. So that's what the Pats do. Who knows what's going to happen when it comes out? Who knows? But very entertaining game. Lot of offense, very little defense per se, but when it counted and stuff like that. So you had that whole situation that going on. So like I said though, so again, so you had all of these different variables going on over the weekend that I was paying that I paid attention to that I told you guys about 2 weeks ago. And that's one of the things that was gratifying. Not gloating, I'm just kind of just playing with that. But I was just saying, just analyzing the game. It's like I said earlier, anyway, in the year, I said that the best teams were in the NFC. And I didn't care who was coming out of the NFC. I didn't care who was coming out of it, whether it was Philly, whether it was Philly, whether it was Atlanta, whether it was the Rams, or whether it would have been Carolina, or what definitely the Saints. Anybody that was coming out of NFC was going to beat the Pats, and that's just how I felt about it. They were going to beat the Pats. That was my rule. I said by the middle of the year, I already knew that okay, the Philadelphia Eagles got the best team in football, top to bottom, both sides of the ball. And you had the Rams doing their thing, and all these other guys, and the Rams and all these other guys in Carolina. Of course, you had the Saints with this ball. If Saints are playing, if the Saints were actually playing New England, that could have easily been a blowout, or it would have been they would have put up 50 some odd points on them. I mean, Brady was going to score with that score probably would have ended up probably like 52-35 or something like that. Because you think about it, that crazy interception that guy got, that if I think Jeffries, I think that's his name or whatever, would have pulled that dang on ball down and knocked it back up, that puts them about the 4 yard line. Then the first series when they marched down there was on like the 3 or 4 yard line, and then they had the penalty in there and moved them back. So you think right there, that's possibly 14 points added on to what they scored, the 41. So you're looking at 48, 51, 2, 3, 4. You're looking at they possibly could have put up 55 points on them, which was just nuts in itself. So a team like, let's say New Orleans get up in there, hey man, they could have put up some points on the board, and that would have been something to see. So I had already said that whoever was coming out of NFC was going to win. But Philly had the best team in football on both sides of the ball, and I thought they was going to. I said after a while, I said, okay, these guys going to probably take this thing. And it's crazy that they was underdogs, but the whole underdog thing, see, people get caught up in that stuff. Getting caught up in that for what? That's somebody's opinion. See, when you deal with what people think of you or worry about that, that's like high school garbage. That's high school crap. That's like a girl or worrying about what somebody's saying about you and all this other kind of stuff. That's the same exact thing that happens in sports. Why they have these power rankings, and I think they should be this, and I think they should do that. I think they should be ranked number 5 and number 4, and I think they should be ranked. They should even be in the top 10, or we shouldn't do this. And then that's in college football. They have that. It doesn't no such thing as no power ranking. Really in football, it's something these jokers are talking about. If you're winning your division, you're going to the playoffs. If you got a decent record and you beat the right people at the right time, you're going there. If you go on with, if you can make the playoffs in a 10-6 record, 9-7, you can make it in a 9-7 record. But for the most part, 10-6 record barely get you in the wild card and stuff like that or whatever. Even 9-11-5. Sometimes you can win your division with that. It depends. But just know that those are the records. Every now and then you have the squeaking 97, the 9-17 gets in there. But for the most part, you're 10-6, 11-5, 12-4, 13-3, 14-2, 15-1, whatever. Those are the teams that get in the playoffs. So it doesn't care about power rankings. You beat who you're supposed to beat. This is not about who has the stronger schedule like the shit that they do in college. It's not the same thing. So I don't even understand what they talk about power rankings because it doesn't matter because it's a playoff system already in play. So you don't even need to be talking about power rankings. Who cares? That doesn't make. If I beat you, we moving on. If I beat you in the wild card game, if I'm in the wild card game, that means 9 times out of 10, oh, I'm traveling. I'm gonna be traveling. So I gotta travel and I'm on the road the whole time. And I basically gotta win out. I gotta playoff game. It's a divisional round, championship, NFC or AFC championship game, and then to the Super Bowl. So you're gonna be playing 4 games instead of the customary 3 or whatever. You won't get that bye, as they say. So that's what we're talking about here. So it doesn't really matter. You gotta play. You beat this person, and you beat this team, and then you're gonna move on. So I don't really get caught up in all that type of stuff. People asking about the Patriots, is the dynasty over and all this kind of. I mean, as long as them guys are there, they're gonna always win. Like I said, with that division that they're in, they're 6-0. I've already said you get to 10-0 by the 11th or 12th week or whatever, 11th week or whatever, 10-0. You're going to the playoffs. Get 10, you're in. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to lose 6 straight. You're going to still end up winning 11 at the very least 11 games, even if you go on a skid like the Kansas City did, but you just can't skid against the wrong teams. So that's what I'm talking about there. You know what I'm saying? So the Pats, they have the easier road. There's nobody really doing anything in the AFC making any noise. And I think it's a change of guard that's getting ready to happen, which is why it's looking like that. But I honestly feel though that so they'll be, if them guys decide to come back. But I'm like, Brady's a hit or two away from it all because these guys hit 40 some years old, they're falling off the cliff. Brady hasn't really took that shot, but it's coming. And this have been it's been a great swan song for him. But he's dedicated and he's obsessed with becoming all-time winner, great, and all that kind of stuff like that. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But but that's it. The whole Carson Wentz is the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. Stop with the whole madness with all this other stuff as if something's going to happen. Nick Foles a backup. He may stay because they want him to stay because it's going to take Wentz a while to get his stuff all together, and it'll be beneficial for him for the Eagles organization for him to do that. But it would also be beneficial for Nick Foles and his family to cash in on this notoriety right now, which you really, for the way he performed, really wasn't that big of a shock to me. RPO, run pass option. That's his game. He ran that under Chip Kelly. Why Chip Kelly blew that team up a few years ago, only Chip Kelly and them guys know. But them guys was doing some big things there. And at RPO, which college more or less integrated into the NFL, and now is an all-time thing up in there, and ran by a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. I'm telling y'all, they act like they don't want this stuff in there. And I tell y'all, there was a play where Nick Foles was like 3rd and 7. And if Foles is athletic enough, even though he doesn't run, he didn't have to run. He wasn't pressured at all last night, but maybe 1 or 2 times. He could have ran like 15 yards. He still tried to throw the ball while a guy was completely covering his receiver when he had nothing but green grass in front of him. A dual threat quarterbacks get 15 yards up out of that. That's my whole point with the whole dual threat thing and whatnot. So that's why I say what I say about that situation. But and those are the things that happen and whatnot. So it's crazy. But so Foles can cash in either way it goes. He got the key to the city forever. Whatever. He has a key to the city to that place forever. So we'll see what happens and stuff like that. But yeah, man. But I just wanted to touch on those particular things. Like I said, just to let everybody know that hey, I'm like being on top of that, just letting you know about who I picked, the Hall of Fame process. Congratulate them guys that's going. That's just went in there, and and just basically like I said, just saying like hey, just to break down, just knowing a knowledge of the game, being around the game a long period of time, studying the game a long since I was a kid. Just kind of just knew that the Eagles was going to wrap this thing up. Knew that knew that this whole that which how they was going, even down to like just kind of throwing it in there about Tom Brady's winning this MVP award. Them guys from last 2 years in MVP have not fared well in this game. Now, like I said, it kind of swayed me a little bit. It's just something to see. So, and you go back to that year, Peyton Manning sit up there threw for 55 touchdowns and was going to sell. I honestly thought, I said, I think they're going to get, I said, I think Manning's just going to unleash on these guys and show these guys what time it is. And that just didn't happen. And that's why I say sometimes young teams, because people always say, this team's inexperienced, they don't have this, they don't have that. Back up on that for a while because you got to learn somewhere. You don't come in all of a sudden already knowing everything, but you have to have the maturation process and get it just because some teams can get it together and gel it right then and there. And that's teams like what Seattle basically did. And that's team what Philadelphia did. I mean, Philadelphia finished with 7-9 last year. There was a lot of talk about them, but they end up faltering. And then they put it all together this year, few pieces here and there, and them guys is off to the races. And and I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. Them guys is gonna be scary because they got a defense. And that's something I've been screaming out with Dallas. Dallas defense does not scare anybody. And Dallas has not had a defense to scare anybody since the mid 90s when Charles Haley and them guys was roaming that field. And you're talking about going on 20 years, man. 20 years. So you better have some fronts, some defensive fronts up there, and some guys that's playing in that secondary if you're going to compete with the Eagles. If you're going to compete to try to get to the championship game, you're going to have that. So yeah, so like I say, man, just like I said. So those are the things we're looking at. Probably be coming up a show, like I said, getting ready to try to do some things and get the visuals back up, get the visuals up to par. Getting ready to start dealing with, seeing what these combines are like, who's coming out, talking about in the draft, and who they're gonna hype up and stuff like that. So just stay tuned. We'll be doing some things there and everything. But again, great Super Bowl, great thing, great win. Glad I picked it, and glad to see Terrell Owens get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He went in there with Moss, which is kind of fitting. Uh, which was kind of fitting. And like I said, a lot of good guys, Dawkins, Erlacher, Ray Lewis, all them guys that made it, Robert Brazil, Jerry Kramer, Bobby Beffett. Yeah, great class, real strong class they got in there and whatnot. So, check me out here, Everything Football 62. Check leave a comment, subscribe to the page, hit the like button. Check me out over Twitter, Everything Football 62. Uh Untucked Men 62. Subscribe to the channel, whatever. And follow me there and whatnot. Like I said, leave some comments. Really appreciate the people that subscribe to the channel. Really dig that. And we'll get back with you. All right. Y'all have a good one. Thanks.